Boxing Ego here. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon on the top of your screen to get notified when the latest new content drops. 1. Terence Crawford reacts to Errol Spence's Fight of the Year candidate with Shawn Porter. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also, subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang, notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the super chats, channel donations, the Venmo donations, and the Patreon family. We working. Wow. So I'm still in LA. I decided to stay an extra day. And listen, y'all, I got to see a phenomenal fight. Errol Spence unified with Shawn Porter. As you can see, he's now WBC and IBF champion, and it was a terrific fight. He bit down, did what champions do. It was probably a tougher fight than people expected. You know, some people thought Shawn Porter wasn't going to bring it or was no match for Errol Spence, but it was a very competitive fight, good fight. I think both fighters pretty much lived up to what they said they wanted to do. Now, Errol Spence, he did push for the knockout and say he was going to get the knockout, but you know, it's boxing, so you're not always going to get it. But one person who was obviously an interested spectator and posted this subliminal tweet is Terence Crawford. Shout out to Crawford. He's the other person in the division. Now, you have to look at the timing, and this was a little bit after the fight ended, like right after the fight ended, basically. He posted this. This is a plate food emoji. Like if you type in food on the Apple phone in the emoji section, that's what the representation for food is. And this is like, ooh, delicious face and shh. So you can say whatever you want, but I mean, this is not rocket science when Terence Crawford's name has been linked to possibly fight Spence. They had that, you know, confrontation where Errol had the red hoodie or whatever, and they were, you know, trash talking to each other. These are the two guys that people are talking about. And to me, this is a representation of Terence Crawford saying like, all right, shh, now y'all see, you know, that Errol Spence is not invincible. That's how I'm perceiving it. You know, I mean, if someone's calling him food, we all know what that means. Someone said your next opponent is Tomato Cam. Speaking of that, I feel like Crawford, as good as he is, who he's aligned with, that's going to stagnate this whole process. You know, people want to see Crawford and Spence, and I get it because I want to see it as well. However, I just feel like being with Top Rank, he's really the odd man out. Spence, his last few fights, he sold. I was at Spence's last 3 fights. I covered it as media. He had the Carlos Ocampo, if I'm not mistaken. That was at the Dallas Star, Frisco at the Star. He fought an unknown mandatory, Carlos Ocampo, and it did like 15,000. Then he was with Mikey Garcia on pay-per-view, and that was in Texas at the Dallas Cowboys actual stadium, not the practice stadium, because of the success of how many people got brought out for the Ocampo fight. That fight did like 52,000 in the crowd. And I think they'd even beat one of Pacquiao or both of Pacquiao's fights at that same venue, you know, with the hometown guy, Errol Spence. And that did about 52,000 or whatnot, 50,000, whatever it was. And now they said the attendance from PBC was 16 and change at the Staples Center. So they're really marketing Errol Spence and getting him to move around a little bit. Now he's the only, in boxing in the welterweight division, he's the only 2-belt champion. I pulled it up. The attendance, it says tonight's attendance at Staples Center is 16,702. Now, this is what ESPN, if you guys think about it, this is what they're saying. Tyson Fury is this big American draw, and he's the Las Vegas show. He fought in a similar capacity venue, the T-Mobile Arena, and they comped out more tickets than he actually sold, right? They said Tyson Fury sold 3,500 tickets, and here, we'll pull it up. They said Tyson Fury sold roughly 3,500 tickets, and they comped out 38. Let's see if I can find it real quick. This is the reporter that covered it. So Errol Spence has real life star power. 16,000. I mean, he's done from 14 to 16,000 in two of his last three fights, and then obviously the Mikey Garcia fight did way more. So these are great numbers. The pay-per-view numbers is too early to project, but we should get a read on it, maybe Monday, Tuesday. But beyond all that, it was a great fight. It was an awesome fight between Errol Spence and Shawn Porter. People question if it was, here's the Tyson Fury. People question if it was pay-per-view worthy. If you watch the fight, it was fucking pay-per-view worthy. So it says on the positive side, or should I say the plus side, ESPN subs were reportedly strong by ESPN, not just by Aram. My soon post, let's see, Fury Wallen did 3,577 tickets and it comped 3,898. Wow. Almost 3,900 tickets were comped and 35 were sold. So to me, these aren't good numbers. But when it comes to Errol Spence, he has real life star power. Now, Errol Spence post-fight, the video's up on the channel. Make sure you guys check it. He was asked about Terence Crawford. Do you think like Terence Crawford fans will now be egging you on and talking about your performance versus Porter? And he said, I ain't really worried about Crawford. They don't even promote Crawford like they should. So, I don't think we're going to get the fight soon with the Crawford thing. Danny Garcia got in the ring. Like right after Errol Spence were unified. So again, I love Terence Crawford. I think he's phenomenal. Some people are going to reassess who wins between Crawford and Spence, and that's going to continue to grow as long as they both keep winning. But right now, Errol Spence, I feel like his star power is going to continue to grow. He can learn from the Shawn Porter fight, and he just has bigger name options that he could fight next. Pacquiao, Danny Garcia, right? Keith Thurman if in 2020, because I'm pretty sure Errol Spence ain't fighting anymore this year after a rugged fight this close to the end of the year. We only have a few months left. So I like Terence Crawford's reaction. I think, truth be told, Terence Crawford is about that life. He's down to fight anyone. Shout out to 402. Shout out to Omaha. It's just the politics. I think the politics are going to end up getting in the way between his promoter. Bob Arum doesn't have the power in the welterweight division like he once had. Before, they had somewhat of a stable. They had Brandon Rios, Mike Alvarado, they had Manny Pacquiao, Ruslan Provodnikov, and they had Jesse Vargas, different guys at Top Rank. They don't have these type of quality names that people know for Terence Crawford to fight. Now, the problem with Terence Crawford is this. He is simply put too good and too skilled for what is perceived as mismatches. Like if it's a guy we've never heard of, then yeah, there's a chance it could be like an Otto Violin and put him in a tough fight. But based on what Crawford has shown and proved at a high level, he needs to fight elite people. That's it. He has to fight elite people. Otherwise, it's probably not going to do great numbers, things like that. Because we already know Terence Crawford keeps proving that he's dope and he's great, and he could be a generational fighter. But the unfortunate side for Crawford is, again, the politics and the sides of the street and the Cold War. This is nothing new, and I really feel bad for Crawford, like Errol Spence was saying, because Errol Spence, what he said has some merit. He says they don't promote Crawford like they should, and I agree. I think that Top Rank and ESPN, they rejoice over Tyson Fury. He ain't even selling, he's selling 3,500 tickets. Then you had this undefeated black man who's destroying his competition. If I'm not mistaken, every fight at welterweight since he's moved up has been a stoppage. If you look at Crawford's last 10 fights, he stopped like 8 or 9 of the people. And the only people that didn't get stopped were like people like Victor Postal. And he damn near stopped him. So it was as good as a stoppage because he dominated that fight, and that was a unification. So, Crawford, unfortunately, based on the fights that are available for him readily, I think the Spence fight will wait, and he won't be able to prove anything more. He's going to have to rematch Jose Benavidez or Luis Collazo or some shit, or Mean Machine. He's going to have to fight different guys like that, like guys he already beat, or maybe even fight someone at a catch weight. Things like that to make some noise, whereas Errol Spence is already Errol Spence is already, that picture was funny. Errol Spence is already aligned with, see, he might look this old by the time the Spence fight happens, because I mean, in my opinion, you can't fault, that's a good picture. You can't fault Top Rank. I mean, you can't fault PBC for building up Errol Spence as an American champion in the brand, because Top Rank has done this their whole career. You know, Pacquiao didn't fight the guys on PBC until he came to PBC. You get what I'm saying? Pacquiao was not fighting. He could have fought Broner when he was undefeated, Danny Garcia when he was undefeated, Keith Thurman when he was undefeated. You know, I know he fought Keith Thurman when he was undefeated, but I'm saying when Keith Thurman, before the injuries, and he could have fought Keith Thurman after the Shawn Porter, before the Shawn Porter fight. You know, he could have fought Shawn Porter. There was tons of names, and Pacquiao stayed fighting the Chris Algieri's, Brandon Rios coming off a loss, and then to add to what Spence was saying, they don't even promote Crawford like they should. They talk about Lomachenko and Fury because they have the complexion for the protection and what ESPN is trying to sell us more than Crawford. And Crawford seems to be the best. You have Tim Bradley, who sparred with Crawford, so he knows how good he is. He's one of the people that helped put Crawford on and get him noticed from his manager and promoter. And he talking about Tyson Fury is the heavyweight movement of Terence Crawford, and they don't even fight alike. Nor does Terence Crawford ain't nearly getting knocked the fuck out by Wilder level guys in his division or punchers in his division. Fury did. He was knocked out, you know? So that's a ill comparison. And, you know, it's unfortunate for Terence Crawford, because I think these are the politics that arise. He's just a fighter. He wants to fight. He wants to prove his worth. He was undisputed at his last division, and now he wants that again. And it sounds like he wants to fight Errol Spence. And after Errol Spence's performance being tougher than some people perceived it, then, you know, that probably influenced Crawford to want it even more. But they're building up Errol Spence, and, you know, it's no different than what Top Rank did. Top Rank had Pacquiao. None of the PBC guys, when Pacquiao was on top, were able to fight him. The people that were getting the fights were Brandon Rios coming off a loss, Chris Algieri nearly coming off a Ruslan Provodnikov loss, guys like Jesse Vargas, who was with Top Rank at the time. So Bob Arum can't be really mad at this situation, because he would do the same thing. And more proof of this to me is the fact that when Bob Arum had, and Top Rank had, Terence Crawford and Pacquiao, which always would have been a good fight. Pacquiao's at 47, Crawford's at 40. They could have fought at a catch weight, or Crawford might have just moved up to 47. Either way, it would have been a great, meaningful fight and the best name on Crawford's resume. And Arum admitted on camera that he didn't make the Pacquiao fight, but he did it after Pacquiao signed with Al Heyman. So, you know, I like Crawford taking a shot at Errol Spence. I think they're two phenomenal, you know, probably the two best welterweights. I just don't see the fight happening, and I told you guys this early on, that this would get in the way. So that's my thoughts. Terence Crawford subliminally disses Errol Spence, basically calls him food. And, you know, let me know what you guys think of Spence's performance. Do you think this fight is possible? Hopefully, if the Wilder Fury 2 fight happens and it's good, maybe we can get this. But from what I see, with Danny Garcia getting in the ring and, you know, a possible Shawn Porter rematch and Pacquiao, I just don't see it happening next. And I think that's just the way, the smart business move. Keep it in-house, whether the fans like it or not. These are all good fights. And meanwhile, like I said, Crawford's not going to be able to necessarily fight the guys that are as relevant and popular as the guys that Errol Spence can fight. So that's the conundrum. Let me know what you guys think. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. Make sure you smash the like button. If you're new, consider subscribing. We working. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.